My wife secretly inherited $300, $0 from her estranged father and convinced me to buy a house worth $1, $2 million, then disappeared with the title. Now she's suing me for half and claiming I gaslit her during the messy divorce. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. Honestly, it felt like I was living a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The most shocking part. It all started with a seemingly innocent inheritance that turned into a complete mess. My wife Lisa and I had been together for over 10 years. We were the kind of couple everyone thought was perfect, happy, successful, and deeply in love. Or so I believed. Things had been a little off lately, but I chalked it up to stress. Work was hectic and she was busy with her own projects. Still, I never suspected that behind her beautiful smile, she was hiding something sinister. The first red flag was her sudden obsession with money. She started dressing differently, spending more than usual, and insisting we buy a new house, something we'd talked about but never seriously considered. Then, she casually dropped the bombshell. Her estranged father had left her a $300, $0 inheritance. She seemed excited, almost giddy, but her tone was also a little secretive. She told me she wanted to invest it, maybe buy a house to secure our future. I was surprised, sure, but I trusted her. I thought maybe she finally wanted stability. We went house hunting and she pushed for a mansion, something way out of our league. I was hesitant but went along, thinking she knew what she was doing. She convinced me to put an offer on a $1, $2 million place. I was cautious, but her enthusiasm was contagious and I figured, why not? Besides, I loved her. I wanted to believe she had our best interests at heart. The day we signed the papers, she seemed happier than ever. She kept saying how this was the start of a new chapter. I felt a strange sense of relief, like everything was finally falling into place. But then, things started to change. She became more distant, secretive even. She was suddenly working late, disappearing for hours without explanation. And I noticed her phone was always locked. She'd hide it whenever I came near. One night, I decided to check her messages. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I found texts from some guy, Mark, I think his name was, flirty, suggestive, talking about meeting up. My stomach sank. I saw pictures of her with him, holding hands, smiling like they shared some secret. That's when I realized she'd been lying to me all along. She wasn't just hiding money or being secretive about her phone. She was cheating. That moment hit me like a punch in the gut. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. I didn't sleep that night, replaying every moment, questioning everything. Was our marriage a lie? Had I been blind? It was clear Lisa had been playing me from the start, using my trust to cover her lies. She convinced me to buy that house, knowing she was cheating on me, probably planning her escape. And the worst part, the inheritance she kept bragging about. Turns out she had her eyes on more than just a house. I found out she secretly inherited a fortune from her estranged father, and somehow she convinced me to buy that mansion with the money, then disappeared with the title, literally took off with the ownership papers. She's now, suing me for half of everything, claiming I gaslit her during the divorce, trying to destroy her reputation. I can't even begin to process how deeply I've been played. It's like she turned our entire life into a game and I was just a pawn. I trusted her. I loved her. And now I'm left with nothing but questions, anger, and this gnawing feeling that I was a fool for ever believing in us. I don't know what's worse, the betrayal or feeling so powerless against her lies. That's where I am now, trying to pick up the pieces of a life I thought I knew. And honestly, I'm still trying to understand how someone could be so manipulative, so utterly selfish. She's out there, probably living her best life, while I'm stuck here wondering if I'll ever really know what was real. After I found out about her cheating, everything changed in an instant. I went from feeling like I was on solid ground to being completely shattered. The betrayal cut so deep I couldn't even think straight. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I could have been so blind. Lisa had always been charming, witty, and perfect in front of everyone. But behind closed doors, she was a different person, calculating, manipulative, and completely untrustworthy. The first thing I did was confront her. I remember calling her late one night, my voice barely hiding the anger and hurt. I told her I knew about Mark, about the texts, about the affair. Her reaction was something I'll never forget. She scoffed, acting like I was overreacting, like I was crazy for suspecting anything. She claimed I was paranoid, that I was projecting my insecurities onto her. She said, "You're just jealous because I'm more successful than you. You're insecure and you're accusing me of things I didn't do." I was stunned. How could she be so callous? I showed her the messages, the pictures, everything I had found. But she just shrugged, smirked, and told me I was crazy, that I was gaslighting her, trying to destroy her reputation because I was insecure about losing her. That's when I realized she'd been lying to me from the start. She had no intention of being honest. She was just waiting for her chance to walk away, to get her hands on that inheritance and the house. The emotional toll was brutal. I felt anger boiling inside me, but also heartbreak. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. But seeing her lie so effortlessly, watching her twist everything around to make it seem like I was the problem, it was devastating. How could someone I trusted so completely be capable of this? I kept replaying our life together, trying to find the moment I missed the signs, the clues I ignored. But deep down, I knew I was for believing she was who she pretended to be. I started to question my own judgment. Was I just a fool? Did I miss all the warning signs because I wanted to believe in her so badly? The worst part was knowing she was probably cheating on me with Mark or someone else all along. I felt sick thinking about her in bed with other men while I was at home, clueless. It made me feel so stupid, so powerless. Eventually, I decided I had to do something about the situation. I couldn't let her get away with this. I hired a lawyer and started digging into her financials, trying to understand how she managed to inherit such a fortune and what she did with it. It turned out she inherited $300, $0 from her estranged father, something she'd kept completely secret. She convinced me to buy the house with that inheritance, promising it was for our future, but she'd been planning her exit all along. The more I uncovered, the angrier I got. She had played me like a fiddle, convincing me to buy that mansion, then disappearing with the title. Now she's suing me, claiming she's entitled to half of everything, even though she's the one who betrayed me. She's also trying to paint herself as the victim, claiming I gaslit her during the divorce, twisting the facts to make me look like the bad guy. It's infuriating how she's manipulating the situation to her advantage. I've been trying to keep it together, but honestly, it's been one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. I feel like I've lost my sense of reality. One day I'm convinced I was married to a wonderful woman, and the next, I realize I was living with someone who was capable of lying, cheating, and stealing right in front of me. I've been betrayed in ways I never thought possible, and now I'm left to pick up the pieces of what used to be our life. I don't know what the future holds. Part of me wants to fight her in court, to expose everything she's done, to make her pay for the pain she's caused. But another part of me just feels exhausted, like I'll never really understand what went wrong. All I know is that I trusted her, and that trust was shattered beyond repair. The worst part, I still love her, even after everything. That's what hurts the most, knowing she used my love against me, played me for a fool, and walked away richer and happier while I'm left here in emotional ruin. I thought I'd be able to handle everything once I knew the truth. But honestly, it's like a punch to the gut every time I remember what she did, how she lied, how she manipulated her way into my life, and then out of it with money and my trust. I started digging into her financials, trying to piece together exactly what she inherited and how she used it. That's when I found out the full extent of her deception. She inherited $300, zero from her estranged father, a man she barely spoke to for years, and she kept it all secret from me. She kept telling me she wanted to buy a house for our future, but what she really wanted was her escape plan. She convinced me to put down a massive deposit on a $1.2 million mansion, using that inheritance as the down payment. I was hesitant at first, raising concerns about the mortgage, about whether we could afford it, but she made it sound like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. She said it was for us, that she wanted stability, that she'd be more committed than ever. Looking back, I see now she was just playing her cards, waiting for the right moment to make her move. Then came the day she disappeared with the title. I still remember the shock, driving home from work and realizing the house was gone. The papers had been signed, but she'd transferred the ownership to herself. I called her frantic, but she just laughed it off, telling me I was overreacting, that I had no right to question her, that she was taking what's hers, and that I'd regret doubting her. That's when I knew she'd been planning this from the start. She'd been secretly building her own empire, and I was just a pawn in her game. But the worst part, she's now suing me for half of everything. She claims I gaslit her during the divorce, that I made her doubt herself, and that I manipulated her into giving up her rights. She's trying to make me look like the bad guy, twisting the facts to fit her story. I've never felt so betrayed in my life. How can someone I loved and trusted do this to me? How could she lie so effortlessly, then turn around and blame me for everything? I've been spiraling, honestly. One minute I'm furious, the next I'm just numb. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Every time I think about her, I get this terrible mix of heartbreak and rage. I keep asking myself how I could have missed all the signs, how I was so blind to her lies. She was always so charming, so perfect in public. But behind closed doors, she was a different person, calculating, manipulative, and ruthless. She used my love and trust to get what she wanted, then cast me aside. Like I was nothing. I've started to realize that I was just a fool to believe in the. She lied about everything, her inheritance, her love, her plans for our future. And now she's trying to take everything I have left, claiming I forced her into giving up her rights. I never forced her to do anything. She did it all herself. She knew exactly what she was doing when she convinced me to buy that house. She knew she'd disappear with the title. She knew she'd use her inheritance to get ahead, and I was just naive enough to fall for it. What's even more infuriating is how she's trying to spin it all in court. She's claiming I was abusive, that I gaslit her into believing she was crazy. She's painting me as some kind of villain, all while hiding her own lies and manipulations. I know she's probably out there, living her best life, while I'm stuck here trying to hold everything together. I can't help but feel like I've been played for a fool, like I was just a convenient target for her schemes. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. Part of me wants to fight her in court, to expose everything she's done, to make her pay for the damage she's caused. But another part just feels exhausted, like I've been through enough. I trusted her, and she betrayed me in the worst way possible. I keep thinking about what I've lost, my marriage, my sense of security, my trust, and it's hard to see a way back from all this. I keep asking myself if I'll ever really recover from this betrayal, or if I'll be haunted by it forever. The more I dug into her financials, the angrier I got. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the sheer level of manipulation she pulled. She inherited that $300, $0 from her estranged father, something she kept hidden from me for months. She told me she wanted to invest it to secure our future, but I now see it was just a way to get me to agree to the house. That mansion, that huge, ridiculous house I was hesitant about from the start. She pushed me hard, claiming it was what we deserved, that we had to upgrade for our future. I remember sitting in front of my computer, pulling financial records, bank statements, anything I could get my hands on. It was a shock. She had secretly transferred the inheritance into her own account, then used some of it as the down payment on that house. She convinced me to sign the papers without realizing she was planning to run off with the title. I still can't believe I was so blind. How could I have missed the signs? The late nights, her secretive phone habits, her evasiveness when I asked about her plans. She was always so good at hiding things. And then I found out she was planning her escape all along. She'd been talking to lawyers, preparing for the divorce, planning to keep the house, the inheritance, everything. I was just a pawn in her game. She wanted the money, the house, the power. All her lies about building our future were just smoke and mirrors. The moment I realized she'd been planning her exit, it felt like my world was crumbling. I'd been played, used, manipulated into trusting her, only to find out she was a master at deception. The day she disappeared with the title, I was furious. I went to the house and found the papers had been transferred to her name. She'd done it quietly without telling me. When I confronted her, she just laughed. She told me I was lucky to be rid of me, that she was finally free to do what she wanted, that she didn't need me. It was like a slap in the face. All those years, all that love I thought we had, she just threw it away for money and her own freedom. And now she's suing me for half of everything. Claims I gaslit her during the divorce, that I manipulated her into giving up her rights. It's a lie. I never forced her to do anything. She made her choices, and now she's trying to spin it into some kind of victim story. She's trying to make me look like the bad guy while she walks away with a fortune she secretly inherited, a house she stole, and a reputation she's trying to destroy. I feel like I've been punched in the stomach every day since I found out. The betrayal cuts so deep I don't know how to process it. I trusted her. I loved her. And she used that trust to line her pockets, to build her escape plan, and now she's trying to turn me into the villain. It's hard to even think straight. Every time I see her name in court documents, I get this sick feeling in my chest. I wonder if I'll ever get past this, or if I'll be haunted by her lies forever. I've been trying to hold it together, but honestly, it's a struggle. I'm angry, I'm hurt, and I feel so stupid for ever believing she was the woman I married. She's out there probably living her best life, while I'm stuck here cleaning up the mess she left behind. The worst part, I still love her, or at least I did. That love was real until I found out what she really was. Now I just feel empty, betrayed, and so damn naive. I don't know how I'm going to come out of this, but I do know one thing: I will never trust anyone like that again. After everything that happened, I started to realize just how deep her deception went. It wasn't just about the house or the inheritance. It was about her entire approach to our life. She played the innocent, loving wife for years, but behind that smile was someone calculating, manipulative, and willing to lie, cheat, and steal to get what she wanted. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. I hired a lawyer to look into her financial dealings more thoroughly. The more we uncovered, the more disgusted I became. Turns out, she'd been secretly funneling money into accounts I didn't even know about, probably from her inheritance or other side deals she'd made. She'd been planning her escape for months, maybe even years. While I was working, paying bills, dreaming about our future, she was plotting her exit strategy. I found evidence of her meeting with lawyers, drafting documents, and transferring assets without my knowledge. The most infuriating part was her claim in court. She insisted that I coerced her into giving up her rights, that I manipulated her into thinking she was losing her mind. That's a blatant lie. I never forced her to do anything. I was trying to be supportive, trying to save our marriage, but she was always one step ahead, lying and scheming. She's trying to make herself the victim now, claiming I gaslit her and that I drove her to her breaking point. It's so twisted I almost can't believe it's happening. I remember sitting in the courtroom, watching her testify and feeling like I was in some bad movie. Her words were so rehearsed, so calculated. She painted herself as the wronged wife, someone who had been betrayed and wronged by me. She claimed I was controlling, that I was emotionally abusive, even though I never raised my voice or laid a hand on her. All I did was love her, support her, and trust her. And now I see that trust was a mistake. She used it against me. She's trying to claim half of everything, our savings, the house, even some of my personal assets. But I know the truth. She inherited that money and she used it to buy her freedom. The house. She stole the title right out from under me. The divorce court is supposed to decide who gets what, but I'm convinced she'll do everything to twist the narrative in her favor. She's good at lying, at making herself look innocent, even as she's out there living her best life, probably with someone new. It's hard to describe the mixture of feelings I have now. There's anger, pure, unfiltered rage, that she could do this to me after all we shared. There's heartbreak, knowing I was so blind to her true nature. And there's this lingering sense of betrayal that I'll carry forever. I trusted her with everything, my heart, my money, our future, and she threw it all away for a quick escape, for a new life with her money and her lies. I've been reflecting a lot lately, trying to find some kind of closure. Part of me wants to fight her in court, to expose her lies, to make sure she pays for what she's done. But another part knows it's going to be a long, exhausting battle. Honestly, I don't even know if I want to keep fighting. I just want to get out of this nightmare and start healing. But how do you heal from a betrayal this deep? How do you trust again when the person you love the most turned out to be the biggest liar? Right now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I've lost so much. My marriage, my sense of security, my trust, and I feel like I'm trying to rebuild from the ground up. I keep telling myself I'll be okay, that time will heal the wounds, but some days it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I keep asking myself if I'll ever truly be able to forgive her, or if I'll be haunted by her lies forever. The only thing I know for sure is that I'll never let myself be so vulnerable again. I trusted her once, and she broke me. That lesson will stay with me for a long time. Now, looking back, I realize that the biggest lesson I've learned through all of this is how dangerous trust can be when it's misplaced. I thought I knew Lisa, thought I understood her, but it turns out I was just living a lie. She was always one step ahead, planning her escape while I was blind to it. The betrayal cut so deep that I wonder if I'll ever fully recover, but I also know I have to find a way forward. I've started to focus on rebuilding myself. It's not easy. There are days when I feel overwhelmed, days when I question everything about my own judgment. But I've come to accept that I can't change what she did, only how I respond to it. The court case is still ongoing, but I've made peace with the fact that no matter what the outcome, I will come out of this stronger. It's about learning to trust myself again, to be cautious but not paranoid, to know that not everyone has good intentions. One thing I want to say to anyone reading this who might be going through something similar: trust is fragile. It's a beautiful thing when you find someone you can rely on, but it's also the easiest thing to break. Keep your eyes open. Pay attention to the signs. If something feels off, don't dismiss it. Because once trust is broken, it's almost impossible to repair, especially when betrayal involves the kind of deception that cuts so deep. As for Lisa, I don't harbor hatred. At least I'm trying not to. I'm angry, yes, and hurt, but I know I have to let go of the bitterness or it will consume me. I hope she finds whatever she's looking for, but I also hope she learns that you can't build your happiness on lies and betrayal. That kind of life eventually catches up with you. Right now, I'm focusing on my own healing. I've started therapy, leaning on friends and taking small steps to regain my confidence. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I won't let her betrayal define me. I'll rebuild, I'll learn, and I'll move on. Because if there's one thing I've realized, it's that no matter how dark the night, the morning always comes. And I intend to face whatever comes next with my head held high, wiser and more cautious than before. This whole experience has been a brutal wake-up call, but it's also been a lesson in resilience. Trust is earned, not given blindly. Love isn't enough if the foundation isn't real. And sometimes the greatest act of strength is knowing when to walk away and start over. I'm still hurt, still angry, but I'm also hopeful that someday I'll find someone who genuinely values honesty, loyalty, and respect. Until then, I'll take it one day at a time, learning to trust myself again, and never letting anyone deceive me like this again.